And we're live, apparently.
Morning, everybody.
Welcome, everybody. And this evening, and we're live, apparently. Oh, okay, that's one thing too.
Morning, everybody.
Let's kill the audio. Okay, tonight's episode of Color Space Cadets is brought to you by Massive File Transfer. That's MASV, massive. Colorists will know that sending and receiving massive video files can cause massive headaches. That's why you need Massive. Massive is the fastest way for colorists to send massive video files on deadline. It's fast, it's simple, it's completely pay-as-you-go, so you only pay for it when you need it. You only pay for Massive when you have files to transfer, so you can sign up at massive.io/ICA, and you'll get 150 gigabytes for free. That's massive.io/ICA. That's your code word. Okay, with that, and we thank Massive for sponsoring today's episode. Yeah, sorry, it's the print's too small. I'm getting too old for this. So we thank Massive for sponsoring this and making it possible, and we welcome you all to the IBC pub around the world.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Warren's in Australia. Guy is still in Amsterdam, proving that what happens in Amsterdam stays in Amsterdam. And Isabelle, you're in Paris?
Yes, I am in Paris, yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
I should start by saying that Warren and I did not make it to Amsterdam this year, much to our regret, but we're looking forward to next year. And we're also looking forward to catching up with Guy and Isabelle, not just on the mixer, but on the show floor itself. How was it, Guy?
Yeah, it was... Guy, yeah, you just jumped straight in. How was it, guys? How was the vibe? Let's start with the show first, the show floor.
Well, actually, there was quite a lot of news, not so visible, but the way connections are completely new. What you saw that everybody is switching to 10G, and that's in the software side, and on the camera side, everybody's going to NDI. All the big manufacturers you see now have NDI. So actually this little internet cable is taking over because it's super fast. And you see also on the cameras now, there are a lot of cameras who have a direct input for NDI. So that's quite amazing. And what you see, for instance, at Blackmagic, that the 10G connections, they're doing everything with it now. Not only to the cameras, but also the networking options they have now with the little pod. That's completely based on a 10G signal. So it's that's really taking over. And the moment you switch over to 10G and NDI, then you've got another problem. What actually was solved years ago by Dante for audio, how to manage all these network settings. And I thought one of the big reveals at IBC was that Dante has now a video. So they have also the options to go to video. And if they are just as good for video as they are for audio, then I'm pretty sure that they will take over at every facility, because that is really smart. It's just a good system. And then
what was the name again, Guy? Sorry.
Dante, D-A-N-T-E. It's an audio thing for years. Every audio studio in the world is using Dante. Well, if what I said, if the video is just as good as the audio, then I think they will take over. Other nice things I saw were actually more in the camera than in the software part, I think the most software was released at NEB, but at the camera side, we saw some really new things. The new Venice camera from Sony. They made now that you can take the sensor separate from the camera. There can be a 12-meter cord in between. So actually you have a very super high-end camera with the size of a package of cigarettes. So you can put it in really strange places. In earlier days, if you had to put a camera in a fridge, then you have to take a saw and make a hole in the fridge. Now you can just put this little thingy in there. So that's
well, explain that, Geet. So you have to build. Yeah. So sorry, you have to build like a little housing with a small lens on it or something, so you can fit it into another housing. Is that how it works?
No. Imagine taking.
Has it got a lens on it?
Yeah. But take a normal camera and take a saw and just cut off the front end, the little part at the front where the sensor is in.
Oh yeah.
And then instead of putting it on the camera, make a cord of 12 meter to the camera.
All right.
Of course, you can put a lens on there. You have to put a lens on there.
Yeah.
But it will give you the options to put in real strange places. And imagine if you want to put a camera on a crane. It's quite a difference to put only the sensor and a lens up there. You can use much easier, simpler, smaller cranes to do the same things. I think we'll see a lot of new shots, new angles from this camera. It will give us a lot of freedom. So that's I thought that was quite something. At the software side, especially what Ep8 did, actually they followed Blackmagic. Ep8 was one of the first who had a collaboration workflow, but it was by uploading all your files to the cloud, and then your connection was actually the bottleneck, so it didn't work. What Blackmagic did was you only sent over the timeline, and by Dropbox or DHL you send over the data, so you both have the same data and you share only the timeline. That's much smarter. And actually Ep8 copied that. What's good for them, finally. So that was for the rest, I think at the Blackmagic booth there was not a lot of news. We saw it all at NEB. And of course now the new version of 18.3 is already a lot better, less buggy than the first one. And for the rest, Blackmagic dominated Hall 7. They had an enormous booth. It was really something, really big. And all the other ones were gathered around. It was a bit, If you think of 10 years ago, was it the other way around?
Well, let's ask a question for those people who have been to IBC like ourselves and can picture it. So was it laid out much the same as a normal show, with the halls roughly where they were before, and like Blackmagic were in the normal bit, and say Dolby were down where they normally were in Hall 2, I think? Does the show like it normally is?
Yes, but with this exception that it was a bit smaller. 2 halls were actually closed down and there wasn't a lot outside. And all the booths were smaller except the Blackmagic one. But Ep8 was much smaller than last year. Adobe was a lot smaller than last year's. So it was all a bit smaller. And I think there were less people. I didn't see a lot of Asian people. Normally there were a lot of Asians, but now there weren't. And I don't think many Americans came over. So it was less people and a bit smaller, but still very crowded and very busy. And it's a day shorter than it was in the past. So that. But I think they
Probably-
decided that already before COVID to go 1 day shorter.
Yeah.
But it's well, yeah.
Do you think they'll continue with that next year, Guy? Do you think that was just a temporary thing, or is that a long-term idea?
Well, I think the main thing is that due to COVID, manufacturers found other ways to present new stuff. They had to in the last 2 years. And actually, we all liked it. And you don't have to go to a show to see all the new stuff. When they finish something, that they don't put it on a shelf for half a year and waiting for the NEB, but just present it to the audience. So I think while the function of IBC NEB will be a bit less than in earlier days, we found other ways, and actually that's it's not completely wrong.
And then I think there's some equipment I really would like to have seen. I missed it. There are definitely some displays and little bits of glue, particularly for this networking that you were talking about.
Yep.
Would be nice to actually see it, particularly with the monitors. A lot of those are not easily readily available to sort of test and try outside of a trade show.
You're absolutely right, but the main problem is always that I went to the ISO booth and talked about their monitor, and then the guy who I had to talk to was a marketing guy who didn't know anything about the things I wanted to know. When I said, "What's the delta E?" He was completely puzzled. He never heard of that word. Yeah. So, yeah,
tricky.
how much does it help?
Isabelle, you've been
Yes,
waiting
Warren.
very, very patiently there. What was your highlight? What was your highlight walking around the show floor? Anything stand out?
So I was rather concentrated and concerned by the scanners and the monitors, and so I also went to the ASO booth. So I had some news about this. Maybe I didn't ask the precise questions that Guy could ask when he was in a query about this, but I had some good news for new monitors, and I think it was very interesting. And for the scanners, there is a new scanner from DFT that is coming. So I'm waiting this, and I think it will be ready to sell for NAB.
Wow. So you looking to buy a scanner?
Not exactly considering the prices, because this one is supposed, it's called so it's a DFT one, and it's called Polar HQ. And even if it will be less expensive than the Scanity, it will be, it's not the price of a house, or depending where, but it's more than 200,000 euros. So it's not something you buy, for a weekend.
But still cheap in scanner terms, isn't it? I mean, the Scanity must be over 10 years old now. We think of that as new, but
yes, and the Scanity is around 350,000. So the new one, which is an 8K, will be less expensive, and I think it will be a very important stage in the panel of scanners.
It's a good segue, because next month Blake is running a Color Space Cadets on archiving films and restoration.
Great.
He's lined up a panel of experts, which means I don't have to get up at 4 a.m., which I'm quite pleased about. And he'll be talking, I would think, probably some of it would be about scanners and the options you've got, because I know that there probably is a lot of countries, they're probably still sitting on quite a big film archive, and they're all sort of waiting and deciding that I need to do something. So as we know, you can't wait forever. There's always interest in how you scan it and what you do with it. So Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Any other
Yes.
scanners? Ari still got a scanner?
Yeah, but
Don't sell that
they're
anymore.
not new ones, and also it's not easy to find some demonstrations. I mean, demos of Ari. Ari, you know, they had no scanners at IBC. They don't have any to show in Paris because they have a showroom, but it's there. There's no scanner, so it's not that easy. You have to go to laboratories that own, you know, some of them to see. So I saw 3 of them at Imagineri Trovata in Bologna this year, because I'm also very now involved in archives and restoration. So that's why I turned very much about the scanners. So it's a part. So I will follow the Space Cadets of the one of Blake, of course.
Yeah.
I'm very interested.
Yeah. Kevin, are you seeing much film being shot in the UK and Guy, and you guys in Europe?
I'm not seeing an awful lot shot on the projects we're on, but of course we have Cine Labs here in London, which does attract a lot. I was talking to Adrian the other day. He told me that they're actually getting more and more, that the amount of film going through the lab is increasing. So what I find is a lot of times it's shot alongside digital on a project where they want 2 looks or they want to differentiate that part of the story. So that happens a lot. But I think it's obviously, past its heyday, but it's still healthy and not going away anytime soon here.
I just did some work on the new Steve McQueen film shot in Amsterdam, and it's all on 35 and 70 mil. So it was strange to go back 20 years. But
is there a lab still in Amsterdam, Guy?
Yes, there's still one lab. Actually, they are really good in archiving. They're restoring old movies, and they're making their money with that, and they do it worldwide. Quite good. It's called Hagen Film. They're really good, and you can go there to develop your film.
And you have the Eye Museum there as well, don't you? They're got a really good restoration department too.
Yeah, and they actually Hagen Film is there. That's where they do it all.
Oh, okay, good to know.
So,
and talking of Ari, as we were, did you see the Ari 35 at the show? What did you think?
Finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm absolutely not a full frame fan, because then you're using the complete glass of your lens, and then you need very expensive lenses to make anything a bit nice. And with 35, it's so much nicer. You use actually only the middle of the lens, and you don't have all these coating problems. So I really understand that, and well, actually, for Germans, finally they listened. Ari was always a company what was guiding the way. What they said was the truth, and they came up with something, and then everybody followed. And now, actually, they had to come back on that, and they did it. They weren't stubborn like well, a lot of Germans are. Sorry.
No. Let's not. Other opinions exist.
Exactly.
Do you have an opinion on the new color science now that they're moving to? They call it Log C4, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, reveal. I think they're calling it. Have you played with that, Guy?
No. I heard about it and I looked at it, but I didn't play with it yet. And well, it's if it's just as good as their ProRes 444, then well, I really like that.
It's pretty good. They've got some good images you can download on the Ari website. And they've got some guides. They made some post-production PDF guides, how you deal with the new clips. And I've downloaded some. And typical Ari, you bring it in and you bring on the either use color space transforms or you're color managing it, but it looks pretty good out of the box. the images
Yep.
I've got, but they are pretty big, folks.
Yeah, but well, that doesn't matter anymore. The transition, it's so fast. The discs are really fast now. Read and write of 2000 is quite normal now. So yeah, what's the problem?
And it doesn't matter, Guy, because you just use Massive to upload it.
Yeah,
And that's fantastic for doing that. That's what I do.
yeah.
True. Last week. Isabelle. So let me go to the show. So was the beach bar the same, and the IBC pub and all those things, or was there still a bit of a COVID? A few things are different on the show. Just walking around. You think?
Yeah, it felt a bit COVID. Like it wasn't so much fun there, and still the same prices for the beer. So
Not as much hugging going on, I don't imagine. And
no, not a lot of hugging. No, everybody was a bit keeping their distance.
Well,
it was not that crowded that it used to be, and also the weather was not that good. So when it's raining,
come on, it's never that good. I've never been to IBC that it didn't rain, not in 30 years.
That's not right, because I have some pictures of us, at the beach when there was some sand, on the floor.
Well, now that it was sunny, but every time over the course of 3 or 4 days, we get some rain. Come on.
Well, I would add that the 2 times we did that riverboat to the mixer, the weather was beautiful, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Both times.
Yeah, we did get some nice shots there.
We were lucky. We were lucky for those boat trips going there. That was lucky.
You
I
ordered
missed
some nice weather on that trip.
And how was the mixer this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mixer was a bit strange this year. If you want to hire a venue in Amsterdam during IBC, you need to be a year in advance. Well, last year we were going into lockdown now. It was actually in October that we went into lockdown. So we didn't dare to rent a venue. So, well, at the last moment, I said, okay, let's do it at my house. I've got a big house, but not big enough to host 200 people. So we put a cap on it. We said, okay, we invite 50 people, and then we have something like 15 sponsors and some crew. So 80 in total. It was very nice, actually.
Good.
I didn't see drunk people. We had a lot of fun because it was in such a nice environment. Everybody behaved, and that was really good to see. Of course, we did the quiz, and the quiz always works. The quiz is fun, not because of the quiz. The quiz is nice to do, but the teams, they always stay together. We see that now for all the years we do it. At the end of the evening, you look at a little group of people and they all have the same color wristband. It's really true. And let's say it's not for nothing that we colorists always work in a dark room. We are not very easy in socializing. So the quiz really helps to make acquaintances, and that you have some people where you can talk to, and it was really funny. The most fun was actually that the table who won, one of the sponsors was also at the table. It was Ian from Dolby, and my last question, the question for the prize, was how much nits has the sun?
He got it wrong, did he?
He got it more than wrong. He had the most wrong answer of all. Actually, the answer is 1.6 billion.
Oh, good.
I knew that. There
you
is
mentioned
some.
that, Guy.
He probably cheated and looked it up on the internet, because there's some very wrong answers on the internet too. I guess it is a difficult thing to measure.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
they couldn't cheat because it was asked in front of them. So they had to answer right away without looking for any answer and asking nobody. So it was very fair. So it was a very nice evening, and we were so lucky that Guy could organize this.
Oh yeah. Big thanks, Guy, for stepping in and doing that. That was really
welcome.
cool thing to do, mate. Oh, thank you. So what about next year? Like, we should be looking, or is it incredibly expensive? What's this? Is there anywhere you found?
Not yet, but I will look around now, and I will absolutely find something. Actually, the very nice place where we did it the last couple of years, they went broke. They didn't survive COVID. So that's not an option anymore. Actually, the place where we did it 4 years ago, that very nice canal house, is now completely rebuilt. They're opened, so I can go there and ask if it's affordable. Don't know.
Yeah, because next year is actually 10 years of the Vegas mixture, and that'll be 9 years, I think, of the IBC one.
Yeah, exactly.
So man, 10 years, where did that go?
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the questions.
What was it? Good. Yeah, I saw a few familiar faces there in your pictures, Isabelle. Who was there? It was Jay-Z was there. It looked like Jay-Z was there.
Yeah, I saw Darren there.
So, there is James Willett, as you can see him. There is Mr. Alexek with Darren Mostin. So we had some familiar people on Black Magic booth, and also the stands that I went. So ASO, DFT, and also Cube Tech. And we met, we had some people to meet, and that was, even, on the booth, by chance, or, when you meet, and also the fact that there was the mixer, what's an excellent thing.
Well, that shows there's still the hunger, because I think the tickets sold out in one day, and we only, because we had very limited tickets, we only really pushed it out pretty secretly. There was no big PR splash, and that proves that there was an appetite still for it. So we'll look for that for next year, which would be great.
Yeah, we should probably start planning for NAB, actually.
Yeah, we were talking about NAB last night, because I'm here with the FX PhD guys, because we're shooting new training, and we were just talking about the different options, and probably how expensive it's going to be in Vegas. So we'll probably do it in a trailer park.
And then Vegas is probably tent. Less expensive than Amsterdam.
A big tent in one of those huge casino car parks.
That would cost you so much money in Las Vegas. Can you imagine?
But how about this though, Kevin? Why don't we go to NAB? They've got so much space, and go, look, we want to do this network thing. Can you give us one of those great big ballrooms for next to nothing? I know we'd have to buy their booze and get their stuff in, but wouldn't they be keen on that, you think?
It's always worth asking. It's definitely.
Well, I think maybe we should, because they must have extra space. They're building new halls, and it's keeping the people in NAB and not going up the road and giving the money away, even if we do buy their beer and their sausage rolls.
Yeah. Well, we can also look at the hotel next door, the Renaissance.
Yeah. What do you think, Guy? I think it's going to be exy either way.
Yeah, I think it will be the same as at IBC, that it won't be as filled up as earlier days. So they probably have some extra space.
Yeah, I think we probably need to jump on it, and they need to be a bit proactive, these trade show people, because if they're not welcoming and making it easier for people who want to have events, which in turn is another tick the box of why someone should visit a show, isn't it? I want to see this, I want to see that. Oh, I can go to the mixer, meet some buddies. They've got to be open arms and try and make it easier, I think, for people like ourselves trying to do these things. Hopefully they are.
Yep. That's a good idea. We can try it at least.
Yeah, I think the problem is going to be they shut the doors at 6, but who knows? You've got to ask, find out.
Yeah, I don't remember going to after. They normally could go a bit later, whether some of those halls are open later for events. But yeah, I think it's worth asking. It'd be good. It's good. So Guy, is Amsterdam, the streets of Amsterdam, back to its busiest self, or was this summer just obviously a notch back from what it normally is in terms of numbers?
Well, at the moment it's crowded again. It's really crowded. All the people who live here say there are too many tourists. It's really a lot. It's
and we always say there's never enough hotel rooms.
No, but at this moment we are actually going in the line of Venice and Barcelona. That there is a permanent queue of people walking, and you can't pass there, and well. And especially all those foreigners trying to bike. That's the most horrible thing.
But I could notice that there were even more bikes, but I didn't think there were so many people in the streets. I mean, in the evening, because at daytime I was, at the convention, but I thought it was a little bit less, crowded than before. And also, it's even more expensive. I mean, for finding a room, it was more expensive than the years before, and a bit difficult. Maybe some places didn't open anymore. I don't know, but it's for sure it's crowded. But it's like the show. The show it was not completely filled, as you said, but even some pavilions, they were not completely filled. There were some black curtains to shut some extra space. So it depends also on the moment and the places where you go.
Yeah.
Probably.
Correct.
I want to go back to the show floor. Like, who was demonstrating or who was exhibiting and who wasn't? The usual people had stands there, or was there any standout players that didn't have a booth this year? Because I know Red have not had one for a while, have they?
Yeah, but they had a booth. Red, they were actually. Yeah, absolutely. They showed the new Raptor, and they had a 360 Red camera solution with two Raptors back to back to one another, with 180 lenses on it. It was quite spectacular. Yeah, there were a lot of people who weren't there. Panasonic wasn't there. GoPro wasn't there, and they had real big booths for years. Especially Panasonic, they filled up half a room, half a hall. So I don't know why they weren't there.
Film light with their geese, same spot in all 7.
I didn't see that. Did you, Isabelle? Did you see Film Light?
No, they were not there, and so I asked, because I asked Mark Burton, and he said, so we have some rooms to meet some clients, so they have some privatized spaces, but they have stopped making some booths, and they think they have some other way to meet and to make some business. And I can agree, it depends on the brands and their political business choices. So so unfortunately I wasn't able to meet them, because I thought I will, because as you know, I'm a jury in the Film Light Color Awards.
So I guess they are going to be at Camera Image in that case, so maybe that's where they're putting their budget this year.
Yeah, probably. But I agree. I mean, that's the way they want to go on, and I understand very well. And it must be working. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, I would say for NAB would probably be the first sort of hopefully, touch with the first trade show that's not particularly affected by COVID, but obviously affected by the whole economic downturn a bit. So that will probably be a real benchmark on who is keen, who still sees the value in exhibiting the same way. So that will probably be the benchmark, I think, on who shows up, who wants to show their gear.
Yep.
What the other, so Dolby were there as well, obviously, in their booth, still down the front there. That is good. That's good.
Yep.
And Red, where was Red? I can't remember them at IBC. They weren't in 7. They were in the camera hall over by Harry, weren't they?
No. They were, yeah, exactly. By Ari. And,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's hall 10.
Yeah, that's it. Hall 10 with
That's
the
where they
cameras.
were.
Yeah.
And well, I was a bit surprised that they were there because they not always come over. But
No.
I think that they were trying to promote the new camera. And it's a good camera, actually. I had to grade some material from it, and it looked really promising and really good.
Yeah, we shoot a bit with a Komodo for some promos that we're doing up here, and it's pretty good. I quite like it. I think it's great. A quick question: you guys went to Adobe? Is there any sort of improvements in color trying to counteract Blackmagic's push into editing with the Premiere V Resolve? That
it's actually the opposite, Warren. It's the opposite. They killed speed grade and
gone.
Yeah, speed grade is completely gone. It's just not in there anymore. They actually know now that if you want to color, you have to export to Blackmagic and come back again. I do a lot of trainings where this is always a question from all the students. How can I come out Premiere and go back into Premiere again? It's I think they finally rested with that.
Have they looked at color management at all and changed that? Because that was another weakness in the pipeline.
No, not really.
Still display referred mostly.
Yeah, and of course they bought Frame.io.
That's a hard one.
And actually, what they're quite changing what's happening in Frame.io. They also make it into a proxy handling tool. So actually, you put your stuff onto Frame.io, and then the editor can download it from there.
Right. Okay. And so were they showing that? Was that a bit of a jewel for them that they were showing at the show?
Yeah, they were.
Because it's like the.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but the big question is, like you said, that they never liked Blackmagic, and Blackmagic never liked them. So I don't know how long Frame.io will still work in DaVinci, but I do know that Blackmagic is working on a Frame.io copy called Presentations.
Yes. Did they show any of it?
No, they didn't show it, but as you saw, all the Blackmagic guys were at the mixer, so I could actually blackmail them. Tell me, or you don't get a beer. So it's in the pipeline.
Well, that's what the mixer is all about.
I think we might well see that at NAB then. Presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to include even maybe a beta version for this training, but they said no, not ready for you.
No.
But that'll be interesting. I mean, we just did the cloud collaboration with an editor sitting in a village in Mexico. Did the whole proxy thing. Obviously, we got the proxies how we did, but it worked pretty well. And we were working in remote grades, so I had all the raws, and I'm just dropping really quick grades onto his proxies over there in Mexico, and he's just rendering out, doing whips for the client. And it was sitting on pretty nicely. The proxies we made just out of the proxy generator. And I think they've finally sort of got that right. I mean, that was a hard one for a while, the collaboration of 2-3 people on the same project and stepping on each other's toes. So I think that was good. That worked well for me. So I'd like to do a bit more of that.
How much bandwidth do you need for that, Warren?
I know we were just on a normal connection. That was a normal like internet connection.
Yep.
It was a tad sluggy. I mean, you wouldn't want to be creatively sitting there cutting in a shared project because it is a bit gluggy. But certainly at the nitty gritty part of it, towards the end, when the editor's making a few changes and adding some visual effects, it seemed pretty good. You know, you hit play, there's a slight little delay on it, but then it updates. You get the little icon saying that, you know, the editor's been in doing something. Do you want to refresh that part, that one shot, or the whole timeline again? Yeah, I think they've done a reasonably good job on it. I think it's $8. Well, from where I am, it's $8 a month if you want to set up a collaboration share.
It's very reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah, like he said.
I just worked with sound guys in Tel Aviv, and I know that they were on telephones. So their connection was by telephone, and no problem at all.
Wow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the future is the cloud. What about the cloud services? I know AWS were there. I think Azure was there. That's something new for IBC, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's nothing touchable. So it's a bit. Those booths are quite strange. It's like the satellite guys. They have a real big booth, and it's only couches and drinks, because they have nothing to show. And there are screens everywhere with animations, but it's a bit virtual. It's
couches and drinks does sound quite attractive, though, Guy.
Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Isabelle, did you have a look at other monitors beside the ISO?
Not especially, no, because I was already, involved in the ISOs, and I wanted to see what was going on.
Can you tell us about the new monitor? Is that an announcement yet?
Oh yeah, because there is some new things, and so there are two of them, 27 inches. And so it's the CG 2700 X and S, and the X is a 4K UHD, and the S is a 2K and a half. So it looks very good, and it's also very interesting in the prices, because if you can't afford, for example, the 319X, then the 2700X will be a good choice. And also the 279X is replaced by the 2700S.
You've lost
Sorry
me now.
for all that.
Isabelle, very, very good. Very.
So for making it short, you have two 27 inches, and there is an X and an S, and so the X is the best, and the S is very good too, but it's more affordable. So
actually, directly after the IBC, we had the PVA training, and we had the ISO, the X, we had the Asus and the Dell, all in HDR, all 4K, and they actually were very comparable, the three of them. We had some problems reaching the Asus. It was difficult to get LUTs in, but once that worked, it was actually they all were under delta E of 1.
Okay.
In 709 you're talking, or in HDR?
In HDR.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we were amazed actually how good they were. All three.
Oh, okay. That was good.
and
What were they? Sorry, what monitors were they again, Guy?
The HDR from Dell, the Asus, and the ISO.
Okay.
And which ones?
You have to ask Greg. He knows exactly.
It's probably the UCG for the Asus and the Dell.
I didn't think Dell had a newer one. I'll be surprised at that because I wasn't. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that the original one would have got that sort of performance. So maybe
I think they
that's obviously
updated the
firmware to the one I saw.
Yeah, they had a new firmware update.
Yeah.
And that means that it had some problems, and they're actually all solved. And what was really nice that the auto calibrate, we performed that on the Dell, and then did the testing with a Klein and all the what is it called, the calibration software.
Kalman Portrait Studio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it actually it was really good. The AutoCal in the Dell. There's this little drawer what comes out, and then there's a thingy coming up, and well, he does a complete. It's actually Kalman what he does in there. But it was.
They are. They've improved a lot. I mean, in the LG one as well. That also and the ISO have had it for a long time. They probably have the first ones to have that.
We even were able to profile the little meter of Dell with the Klein.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do say that. And talking of, do Flanders have a booth, guys?
Yes. Yep.
Any news on the 5000 nit monitor?
No. Their big news was also AutoCal system. They have now complete integration with Kalman, and so
the self-calibration is also really, really good and very quick.
Yeah.
One of the monitors I wanted to see actually was that the 22-inch OLED that Flanders are now brought on board.
Yeah.
Did anybody see that?
Yeah, well, that was there, and it looks amazing. But yeah, well, to be honest, there are so many monitors, and it's so difficult to really concentrate on one monitor and really see how good it is. And
and they all have different purposes. I think the Flanders monitors are particularly good on set as well. There's a lot of tools in there, particularly for false color and focus. So that makes them very attractive.
Is there, Kevin, you'd probably know as much as well, any push for HDR monitors on set?
Absolutely.
And if so, is there a leader in that? If you say you could only have two or even one on the set at a reasonable price, is there a leader in that at the moment?
Well, there isn't a solution. I mean, to get a reference monitor, an HDR reference monitor on set, you're still talking about very big money. So where the options are is what can you do at the sort of lower price, really, and they're all a compromise. And the problem is that the better HDR monitors are not very robust, and they don't take batteries, and they don't have camera tools and things. So you sort of need two solutions, one with the tool sets and one for the HDR that gives you the HDR impression.
But if you built one of we call them good testing HDR, like your Dell Asus LGs, and put that in a rugged case and had that on set and Mac, that could be a solution, couldn't it, at around the $5,000 mark?
Actually, Small HD has a reasonable HDR one in a metal case. It's you can drop it and it will survive.
Yes, I mean, Small HD is a solution because it's not just a matter of putting it in a case, Warren. It's having DC power instead of AC power, for example. It's having the tools. Otherwise, you'd need to add on a scope and things like that.
All of those things. But
yeah, I mean, I am looking at a build your own sort of, build a cart that does monitoring, and because you want not just HDR, but you want to see HDR against SDR, because for a lot of the people, a lot of the camera crew, they're still learning about HDR. You know, in the color department, we've probably got 4 or 5 years of experience, but a lot of the camera crews have not done, maybe one at the most.
Exactly. Actually, AJ had a very nice solution. It's called the Color Box, and it's a LUT box, but it's much more than that. It gives you overlays that you can really see what it all is. It was dive into it. Look at the website of AJ. You will be surprised. I was really surprised because, well, everything what I always think needs to be in there was in there. So it's
they do have some nice products, and also the color is from AJ, but FSHDR, this box that does conversions and things. And then Colorfront, I think Colorfront normally have a hotel room or something off the floor, don't they? But they have now this streaming box, which some others do, but they're also doing a beta on a software-only version of the streaming box. And I think that looks also interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that they've got some good answers. All right. I think we're pretty much going to wrap this up, Kevin, I think.
It's time to get around in, Warren.
It is time to get around in. I only had tea, obviously, but for you Europeans, it's a bit more in your drinking time zone than me.
We will go to the beer now.
You can go to the beer. I'm going to remind everyone, Massive really kindly helps us out. They sponsor iColorist, do all sorts of things with us. They will give you 150 gigs of free transfer credits. You just need to go to massive.io/ICA. Go there, check out their products. I've been using it for sending some bigger baked files, not sending multiple clips, but I had a really big bake file that I had to get out to someone, 150 gig worth, and I use it for things like that. It's going really well. Big thanks to them, and thanks to you guys for jumping on board and getting involved in this, because obviously Kevin and I couldn't be there. You filled in lots of gaps, which is great, and I look forward to catching up with you next year somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yes,
Cool,
yes, completely.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, everybody.
That's the end of our stream.
Slideshow. Great slideshow, Isabelle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I can
And
disappear and you can see the full picture.